call this regular meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Brenda, would you please do the roll call vote, or roll call?
Sure. Director Beck? Here. President Klein-Jerome?
Here.
Director Ward?
Here.
Director Potts?
Here.
Director Hayes?
Here.
Director Barnes?
Here.
Vice President Postian?
Yes. Here.
Thank you.
Director Beck, would you please read the mission and vision statement?
Yes, the mission statement. The Davenport Community School District is dedicated to growing excellence in academics, the arts, and athletics for every child by ensuring the highest quality education in an environment shaped by our diverse community, preparing our students to be lifelong learners and productive citizens. Vision statement. Education that challenges conventional thinking, prepares all students to compete in a global society, and inspires our students, parents, staff, and community to answer the question, what if?
Director Hayes, would you please read the guiding principles?
Yes, opportunity. We provide abundant opportunities to empower students to reach their full potential academically, creatively, and socially. Collaboration. We foster an environment that allows students, families, and community stakeholders to come together for the betterment of our students' education and future. Transparency. We share relevant and important information with our students, families, and the community to maintain open and productive communication.
Superintendent Schneckloff, would you please read the goals?
Focus tonight will be goal number 4, foster the innovative use of facilities, finance, and staff.
Next up, we will hold a public hearing. I will now conduct a public hearing for approval of the 95% plans and specifications for the North High School additions and renovations, footings, and foundations project. Notice of the hearing was published in the Quad City Times on January 27th, 2025. Anyone wishing to speak on this item, please step forward to the microphone or call 1-312-626-6799 and enter meeting ID 924-1411-6781 and passcode 180035. State your name and address for the record. Anybody? Seeing and hearing none, I now declare the public hearing closed. May I have a motion?
Madam President,
Director Potts.
I move the board approve the plans and specifications for the North High School additions and renovations, footings, and foundations project as shown in the 95% plans and specifications.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Director Beck.
Just because we haven't done a project this big in a while, the amount of time between when the bid goes out and is awarded is pretty short, like a week. And then the bid will be scheduled for March 24th, with work to be substantially complete by August 1st. Is that realistic? Is that typical?
It's probably a little bit fast, but it is realistic because it's very specific work. It's not for like 20 different trades to come in. It's just a small group, so they can get the bid in pretty quickly.
So basically, this is just for like, it's not the whole thing. It's
really just starting the footings of the building.
Okay.
Yep.
Anyone else? Okay, this will be a roll call vote. Director Barnes.
Yes.
Director Beck.
Yes.
Director Hayes.
Yes.
Director Postian.
Yes.
Director Potts.
Yes.
Director Ward.
Yes.
And my vote is yes. Motion passes. I will now conduct a public hearing for approval of the 95% plans and specifications for the Fillmore Elementary roofing improvements. Notice of the hearing was published in the Quad City Times on January 31st, 2025. Anyone wishing to speak on this item, please step forward to the microphone or call 1-312-626-6799 and enter meeting ID 92414116781 and passcode 180035. State your name and address for the record. Anybody? Seeing and hearing none, I now declare the public hearing closed. May I have a motion?
Madam President,
Director Potts.
I move the board approve the plans and specifications for the Fillmore Elementary roofing improvements as shown in the 95% plans and specifications.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions? This will again be a roll call vote. Director Barnes,
Yes.
Director Beck,
Yes.
Director Hayes,
Yes.
Director Poston,
Yes.
Director Potts.
Yes.
Director Ward,
Yes.
and my vote is yes. Motion carries. Student board members.
Good evening. Mid-City's been up to quite a bit. Our youth leadership team met with Connie Dobbles today to discuss our lunches. Last week, we celebrated Counselor Appreciation. We are currently testing equipment for our podcast and finalizing a name. This past week and until I think Wednesday of today, we're selling Valentine's Day candygrams to raise money for senior t-shirts. We celebrated students who had improved or over 90% attendance. And then our new challenge is to celebrate students with C's or above. We also have a Valentine's Day Spirit Week this week. Today was Pink Day and tomorrow is Dynamic Duo Day.
Hello. For West, we have been, there's been attendance goals been going on through the whole Davenport community schools, and our attendance on average is over 80% for the entire class, which could be better, but it's not a horrible start at all. As far as grades are concerned, for freshmen, they're 75%, over 75% of the freshmen who are currently enrolled in West are on track to graduate by their senior year. I don't know if any of you heard, but our show choir is doing phenomenally recently. That I think we won. It was some competition. It might have been state. I'm not sure. This past week, and then we have Character Strong going on to help each student during MTSS. And since I'm a student leader, which is someone who helps seniors specifically, we've been working hard towards getting them prepared for college, especially with scholarships, FAFSA, and such. And then we even have a ice skating event for the senior class. I think it's going to be February 24th and March 12th. We're doing a fundraiser with Chipotle. So yeah.
All right. At Harrison, things are popping. Old Town Bakery on Tuesday. There, you got to pick up your bakery items. Then on the 14th is Valentine's Day, so they also are going to be having a Spirit Day. Wear red, and pink. And on the 5th, on March 5th at 4:30, there'll be a kindergarten roundup. So those kids have just started school. Oof. Yearbooks. You also need to make sure you buy yearbooks by the 28th at Harrison. They're $16 each, which I didn't realize they were so cheap, honestly. At high school, it's obviously more expensive. They're also doing this Give It a Try sports sampling event on March 9th, ages 7 to 12, for boys and girls. I think that's pretty cool. They had pictures of archery and I think it was baseball and some other sports. So I think that's really cool to sample them. And our green team is really doing a lot of good stuff. We got on the news on Wednesday, and Mr. Curry got a $1,000 grant to get equipment to help our rain garden and maintain it, which is definitely needed.
Good evening. As far as North goes, our DCSD wrestlers, JC Mason and Hannah Park, have earned their spots at the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union State Wrestling Meet. Both student athletes demonstrated exceptional performances at the regional meet held on January 31st. Mason claimed the title of regional champion, while Park earned a second place finish. Two very talented Davenport High School student athletes just signed their letters to continue their athletics in college at the Division I level. Divine Barag is heading to LSU to play basketball, while Journey Houston will take the court at the University of Iowa. And as far as show choir, we had a really great performance. We got second place, I believe, and a lot of students got awards, which leads to them getting scholarships to help in college. One student got the award of Best Performer. Her name is Jessica Obo, and she's hoping to be an astronaut or another really cool fancy thing that I probably can't pronounce. Thank you.
Thank you, student board members. On to presentation. Superintendent Schneckloff.
Tonight we have a pretty exciting first look at our proposal for Davenport North. Tonight, John Mahan and Josh Romansky are going to share with us what this looks like. What you're about to see is incredibly exciting. Our long-range facility team has seen it, and it really does rebrand our school at the north side, and meanwhile, digging into the interior of the building as far as we can go with the finances that we have. So, John, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Good evening. Thanks for having me. We're kind of excited to share some of the changes. The last time we talked about this, you as board members likely only saw about a site plan and a floor plan, and we had some challenges presented by the board members as for things that we should take note of, and so I think you'll be happy with what you'll see tonight. So North High School, if you recall, consists of adding a new cafeteria in the building space that's between the high school and the YMCA portion. Stretches across in front of the current Performing Arts Center. By producing a new cafeteria, it does two things. It gives us the opportunity to handle the load of lunchtime for the building, but it unburdens some space that allows us to create some new solutions in the building. But that also gives us a new front door to the building. So with the turf project that's, if you've driven by, that's got a lot of fresh turf on it, starting to look like closer to the finished product. You'll notice the driveway takes a turn as it comes in, and that actually will have you looking right at your new front door. We'll provide a new drop loop in front of the building, a new secure entry, but the really exciting thing is it'll unify the appearance across the front of the building. So the exciting picture that you get to see as you drive up to the front is this new front door to North High School, linking between the high school and the YMCA. Originally, this started as a simple corridor just to connect the two buildings together, but really this project has allowed us to do something better. And it's quite exciting. As you move around that front of the building, looking towards the existing building, we'll have the opportunity to do a little bit of embellishment on the existing to make it tie better with our new addition. But driving up, there's the shot of the new front door. So this is your new drop lane. There's a primary entrance into the building with a covered canopy, so people have an opportunity to get under cover quickly when they get out of a car. What you're seeing off to the right is more of your auditorium events entrance. So when there is an activity that uses the auditorium, that becomes the primary entrance, and that lines up straight with the pathway right into the auditorium itself. You'll see a lot of glass up above, so this space will be flush with a lot of natural daylight. Off to the left is our new administration. Off to the right is our new cafeteria common space. Here's a little bit of a look back at that cafeteria common space, the entry on the left, that auditorium entry on the right, and then that stretches all the way across to the new YMCA building. Nice new big sign stretching across the front with some flags signifying that you are at North High School. When you walk inside the front door, that's what you're going to see. It's a nice new entry, a lofted space with lots of natural light coming in. Put a little Wildcats branding on the floor. Where you see the words branding, we're still developing what that is, so let your imagination go wild for a little bit. Right off to the right side is the servery. So that is the space where food will get served out of. Behind it is a kitchen. As you turn and look right, that takes you towards that new cafeteria. So again, we originally thought we just needed a corridor to link across our two buildings, but envisioning this as a cafeteria space really took it a step further. It allows us to seat 450 at a single lunch period, which allows us to reduce the number of lunch periods in a day, which is a little bit more efficient for keeping instructional time intact. But you can see a lot of nice tables and chairs. The colors don't always come through perfectly, but bringing that blue and gold of the Wildcats into this space, some different opportunities for seating in that space. Part of this is recognizing that when it's an event, some of these tables need to clear out and we have to reset this up different for that event. And so keeping this space flexible, also creating some opportunities in here when there is a special event, we'll have some nice backdrops. So students getting recognition or students wanting pictures with their family, we'll have that built in. Looking from that cafeteria back towards the main entrance, that common space. And then if you go down to where you might have just walked in the auditorium entry doors, you'll see that this lines up looking straight at the auditorium, doing a little bit of embellishment, just minor around that set of auditorium doors so that you see the wayfinding intact right in front of you. So there's no question about where you're going, but this will serve very well for handling the load of some of those events that happen in the PAC. Off to your right would be the access to the YMCA portion of the building. That's looking back at that auditorium entry door, and you can see all the nice natural light flooding into this space. We think that through study of the natural lighting, it will allow us to use daylighting control, so it should reduce the electrified light load burden of that space. If we go back and investigate that new serving space, so we're picking up the cafeteria, the kitchen, moving it all over here. So you'll see an entry into that servery. Quick look around shows you a new layout for serving lines. We've got the pay stations and the exit over to the right. Again, bringing some of that school branded color into here. Some nice digital signage for our menu items. And then back at that main entry again, looking towards our new administrative office. So it was really important for the building that there was eyes out into this space. So the office, the attendance office, and the security office are all lined up across the front of this entry, all having eyesight for visual control of this space. What you're seeing off to the right is just a little bit of exterior courtyard. That's just a little bit of space where we can open the doors. It's an opportunity for students to go out there and enjoy some outdoor time, but it's completely controlled because it's enclosed by the building on all four sides. If we drop into the new office, just a new main entry, some administrative desking there, and then secure entry back to our offices. That looks back out towards that common space. But the real big exciting thing is finally, after a million years, we're getting new science classrooms. So when we move that cafeteria, we are allowed to take over that space and refurbish it for the science rooms we need. The one shown here is one actual science room that is new construction built into what is currently a courtyard. So that is one brand new science room, and then we get a series of science rooms which are renovated back into what is currently the cafeteria space. One of the nice things about that cafeteria space is it has a higher structure, so we get a little bit taller ceilings. We get a really nice sized science room. These are more appropriately sized to the high school science curricula. These will include the tables and furniture that allows us to handle our lab and lecture for our science curricula. You'll get a little sense of some of the different layouts of these rooms, but we have some opportunities to grab some natural light because there's a kind of a clear story lighting situation across the back of these rooms, so we can grab a little natural light. Really provides for some really nice space. Where the science rooms used to be, we're going to renovate that portion of the building into new classrooms. Again, these classrooms are appropriately sized for the curriculum of high school, but it also affords us the opportunity to build a little bit of collaboration into the building. We didn't need much, but this is some space where we can do some co-teaching, where students could do some independent work. This is set up as an instructional area with some different opportunities for seating and furniture so that it can handle the task load of what might be put out here. There's two different collaboration areas. One of the challenges we faced with reworking classrooms into that old science area was the lack of access to natural light. The majority of the classrooms are inboard, so what you're seeing is the integration of some skylights. That'll allow us to flood some natural light deep into the center, and then by having just enough glazing, it'll be security glazing between the classroom and the collaboration zone, but that'll give a connection back to natural light, which is something that a lot of North High School classrooms miss. If we look at the other collaboration zone, it's a little bit different in how it's arranged, but it is still set up as an area for teaming and collaborative work. Again, a couple of skylights. Around the perimeter is our classrooms, all borrowing from that natural light they see beaming in from the skylights, bringing a lot of the feeling of North High School with our color schemes, and then throughout this, we'll take the opportunity to provide some branding just to reinforce that we're North Wildcats here. The boring stuff, the floor plans. So if you're looking from your helicopter with the roof off the building, in red, the red shades, that is our new construction area. In the greenish blue color, that's our renovation areas. We have our new addition, which is our cafeteria common space stretching across the front. That's our existing auditorium, providing access over to the YMCA portion of the building, and then leaving a little bit of residual space should we ever need to expand the building any further. We have a plan for how that gets integrated. The old science rooms and officing spaces are getting reworked for a variety of classrooms. Our collaboration zones, which you saw the images, are kind of where I'm floating the cursors. The current cafeteria sits back in the back portion of the building. That gets reworked into science rooms with one additional science room, and then adjacent to that is our counseling suite. If I zoom into some of those, you could see we have renovated spaces in the classrooms, all surrounding a centralized work zone. So it's a shared prep workspace between the teachers, which is something that they currently benefit from. It's just not all the rooms connect to the same prep space currently, and the prep space is not very big. So getting them a little better situation, some prep hood space for the lab that needs a ventilation hood. And then we have our one new classroom off to the side. if we jump down to the renovation area that used to be science rooms, there's 2 additional science rooms in that zone, and then a series of general purpose classrooms. The other thing is because we're creating a new front door, we're using part of that old front entry as part of our classroom solution for this portion of the building. We'll keep one of the entries just to help with the load of students arriving and departing at the beginning and end of each day, but otherwise that becomes a secondary entrance for the building. Our collaboration zone's out in the middle. One of the really interesting things, though, is because we had such good bidding with Smart and Sudlow, we have the opportunity to funnel some additional revenue towards the North project. So one of the things that was asked by the board is, can we renovate as many classrooms as possible? Well, with better bids on Smart and Sudlow, you can now. So right close to the new addition, the portion of the building that has some of the older classrooms, we are taking the opportunity to renovate those into additional new classroom spaces. And so what you're seeing on screen is a series of new classrooms, a kind of a walking path. I'll zoom in a little bit. You're going to ask, why is a portion of it pink? It's because when we do new construction under the new building codes, we're required to have storm shelters. Smart and Sudlow each have storm shelters as part of their design solutions. We talked this over with district leadership, and this entire zone in pink will actually handle the capacity of the entire building should a major storm event happen. We have a safe spot where everyone can shelter in the building, which will be protected, meeting the ICC 500 code requirements. So that is a protected space. Our only requirement was to have to house as many people as the new addition covers, but it felt important to make this safe for the whole building. So that is included in that additional renovation space. One thing I should note is when we looked at expanding the building for other opportunities when master planning, we had a caution of don't add classrooms if we know we can pick up efficiency in the building, and we have found that efficiency. And so we are gaining, I wanted to remind myself of the number, but I think we're gaining 6 additional classrooms in the building, as well as a host of small group and large group intervention spaces. So one thing that North lacks is breakout rooms. So when you have supports or interventions, it kind of requires that you take over currently full-size classrooms or partial-size classrooms. This gives you appropriately sized rooms for that. So we're gaining additional classrooms plus those much-needed spaces for supports in the building that currently don't really exist. So that'll help with the efficiency of how the North building functions as you move into the future. And then there's that shot of the new cafeteria stretching across the front. One other thing that we planned into the main entry is how do we respond with today's new security. So that solution includes how we respond to the need for metal detectors for the entering of the building on a daily basis. So that is planned into that solution so that it doesn't have to look like an afterthought. And then there's your administration areas. We have the building administration, our health office, and then our counselor suite, all as new construction. So I went through that really fast. I will go back to some of the fun, exciting images because they're super cool.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Director Barnes.
John, slide 26, which is the floor plan that shows the phases. I don't want to get into the detail here at all, but the entrance to the auditorium is through double doors from the cafeteria pre-function space, but then that's going into a lobby where there are multiple entrances into the into the existing auditorium. Is that correct?
Yeah, so you have side entrances to your auditorium, a main auditorium set of doors, and then what we've got is a weather lobby here. So kind of serving as your primary entrance. There are your entry doors over to the side still as well. Does that answer?
But for an event, the cafeteria pre-function isn't really the lobby. There's still a lobby before you enter the auditorium, correct?
It is actually all conjoined, so it all serves as one big room now.
Okay.
Yep. I'll scroll back to that image. So this is that new cafeteria, and that is the current auditorium lobby. So we've opened up what's currently a glass wall, so that all can serve conjointly as your pre-function.
On that wall, sorry.
Go ahead.
On that wall there, we talked about adding some type of a space where you could actually do pictures with your family after a signing or a big play or things of that nature.
Director Beck.
Yeah, I have two questions. So number one, I'm assuming that somebody will have to move all those tables then if there's going to be an event in the auditorium. And is there a place to put them that's not just right there, so they're not just like in the room?
There's a set of double doors on the left side of the screen.
Mhm.
There's a storage room planned for table and chair storage. Yep.
Okay. Okay. And then my other question is about, you mentioned in the administrative area there'd be a wellness room. I think it was the administrative area.
Think of nurse office.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Is that the kind of thing where like a student in crisis might go to calm down? That's what that kind of room is? Or
So that's a sick kid place. So that's
Okay.
where that's your nurse office. It's in the main office area with access direct to the exterior. So if you had a hospital call,
Okay.
there's a way to get a kid out of the building pretty quickly and easily. Or if a parent needs to come pick their student up, that's right there at the front door, which is easy to handle then.
Okay. Thank you.
But there is a separate area for student services like
Okay.
that also. A nice area, actually.
That would accommodate those types of other.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, the other space would be this one that I'm circling here.
Yes.
Can you go back to the office one? I don't know. From here, it looked like the office looked kind of like the table didn't look that big. Like it, because I know right now at our office, the picture with it's like earlier up or higher up, the graphic. It looked like like there wasn't a lot of table space. I don't know.
Yeah, so there's
Yes, yeah,
there's 3 desk spaces there. What happened there is there's a series of private offices, and it's intended so that the people that need the privacy of their work function have that spot, and then we just have the 3 people at that front desk area.
Okay.
Yep.
And also I have pretty good connections with most of the science teachers, and they definitely agree that we need an upgrade. So this was definitely overdue, but definitely needed. But I really like the communication, the group little seats in the halls, the breakout rooms. Those are something that, like, as a student of North, it feels very congested. It does not feel like it doesn't feel that modern in there. And I think that's going to be huge. Like, I really do. That's like the best thing I've seen for sure here.
How do you like the new appearance of the building as well?
Oh yeah, it looks really good. This is a huge upgrade for sure.
Any other student board members have a comment or a question? Okay. Did you have something?
Come back and teach for us.
Yeah. Director Barnes.
I believe that there's concessions outside of the auditorium now. Is that function absorbed in Servery and the new cafeteria? What does that solution look like?
So there is concessions and those remain, and part of that has to do with how you're allowed or not allowed to use FNS equipment for concessions functions. So those concessions windows still remain. That way we can keep concessions activities out of that district equipment owned.
All those rules that we have to follow, huh? I'll add one other thing. The imagination in repurposing the cafeteria for the science labs and classrooms, it's awesome. I mean, that is huge, and what an incredible gift to North.
I think one of the biggest successes with this project so far is, if you recall, we talked about a series of new science rooms and a corridor connecting across, and you're really getting something different. You're getting what will feel like a whole new building to people coming to the front door now.
Sorry, and also for the lunchroom, you said so it's 450 people that could seat there. So what is that compared to what it is now? Like, what's the current capacity? Like,
I believe you're 250 ish.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a big difference. Because see, that's another big problem, because we have 5 lunches, and I don't know if that's what if other schools have. Okay, so that's not good, because it stretches like the entire time, and then also the entrance is definitely way more like, because like our entrance also is kind of like, I mean it's like, yep, come on into our school. But this is like grand. This is a really good entrance. I really like that too, for sure. Oh, and also for the storm area. So what, like, is that just like we would have to go to the storm area in an event? Like we would just, like, the entire school would just walk there?
That's a really great question. So currently your storm practice, when you have a storm notification, they'll tell you to go to, I think, bathrooms and locker room spaces, but there's no proof in the engineering that those are any safer than maybe somewhere in the middle of the building. So this is designed to meet the requirements of tornado. So if we have a major storm coming in, there will be a notification that tones through the building, and you have a certain amount of time to get into that space, and then it will go into lockdown. So it will shutter in place so that everybody's safe inside of it. Has emergency power and emergency ventilation, so that I believe it's a 4-hour requirement. So you could be in there for up to 4 hours, which should take you past any major storm event.
Yeah, that's cool, because I mean, I've always wondered why we go out to the hallways. I mean, I know that it's like, it makes sense, but it's also like, is there anything actually different? So yeah, I like that idea a lot.
Director Poston.
Where will the generator be located for that?
So it's actually a backup power system, so no generator. This will be done with battery storage and inverters. So through the course of the day, you'll kind of feed into that storage. It doesn't really take much. That is sized then to handle that 4-hour capacity for your power and your ventilation. And one other side benefit is the main data for the whole building is right next to that storm shelter space. So we can provide that backup power to the main data. So anytime you have a power outage in the building, you don't end up with a really bad sequence of having to restart all of your data systems there.
So for the airflow, there'll be louvers in the ceiling?
Correct. It'll actually have a mechanical ventilation with a little bit of gravity flow combined.
It probably wouldn't be to the degree you're used to it functioning, but it would at least have some flow going through, so it wouldn't get extremely hot and bad. But you're talking an extreme situation where that would be needed.
Anybody else? A couple things. I love seeing solid walls. I was a student at Wood Junior High when it opened. Great to see that it's going to be solid walls. And this is more towards you. When you have a tornado drill, they're all going here. Yeah. I want to be there that first day they do that.
They didn't say they didn't have to be packed like sardines.
Yeah. Okay, so once we get the go-ahead, like what's going to be done first, second, third? I don't need the whole rundown, but just to get started.
Okay, so tonight you did the public hearing for the footings and foundations. That's an effort to help speed up the process, because if we can get in the ground while the weather is just starting to turn nice, that will help us kind of accelerate our construction. But the general sequence is, once those footings and foundations are in, we will start building the new cafeteria, kitchen, offices. We really need to vacate the old office area and the old kitchen area. So then once those move into the new addition, we can start renovating those spaces. Once we get the new science rooms, then we can take over the science room portion and start renovating that. And then the very last thing will be the storm shelter portion of the building. That's probably the more technically difficult portion to construct. So that's the last little piece. But that will actually tie in nicely, because that happened when that starts. That's about the time that we do our tie-in with the YMCA building. So you will actually be able to tie in and then start utilizing the spaces there, which we estimated that if you would have had to recreate the spaces being provided to you from that facility, you'd be in excess of $10 million to recreate that space. So once you get to tie in, you will be able to distribute some of the overcrowding of other spaces in the building into that YMCA facility, and that will happen in early 2027.
Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you very much. Looks great.
Thank you.
Next up is, sorry about that, board reports. Any board reports? Director Hayes, did you want to say about?
Yes, I'm sorry. The board would like to offer our condolence to the Lee family and also to the Zamora family. Pat Zamora was a board member for a number of years, served as president at one time as well, and we would like to offer our sincere condolence.
Thank you. Director Barnes.
Last Tuesday night, I had the privilege of attending the Portrait of a Graduate meeting, and I'm really excited that our school district is pursuing this initiative. Just my reflections on the Portrait of a Graduate session last Tuesday night. First, excellent facilitation. Our outside facilitator is fantastic. The people in the room are excited about developing a vision of what we expect from our graduates that I think should have the whole district, maybe the whole region, excited. Love the discussion about how our graduates need to be prepared to interact with and outcompete AI. So really an exciting initiative for this school district. I look forward to reporting more on the continued conversations about Portrait of Graduate.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Brenda, were there any, Director Boston.
I just would like to thank the staff at Walcott and Bluegrass Schools for letting me visit the two buildings. I got to see a lot of our new curriculum in action. I give the teachers a lot of credit for all the curriculum that we have thrown at them. Also, thank you for the personal development that we've offered to those teachers to implement the curriculum, and I think they're off to a really good start.
Anybody else? Brenda, do we have any open forum requests?
No.
Okay, moving on. Could I have a motion and a second to accept the consent agenda?
Madam President,
Director Hayes.
I move we accept the consent agenda as written.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or discussion? Director Beck.
Yeah, I have two questions. The first one is about the difference between the North and West Pepsi renewal contracts. One is for 15 years at North, and the one at West is for 10 years. Is that because of the new sign that's coming in with that for the soccer field?
Yeah, these contracts were all negotiated at independent times, so they're all coming up at independent times. In the future, they're going to be put on one, but for now, to get the scoreboards up and going at both those field turf locations, that's why we're putting it here.
And do we ever send out an RFP for a different sponsor, Coca-Cola or some other? I mean, I guess there's not any other companies.
No, this was actually the work of Paul Flynn, who worked to negotiate those contracts with us. But I do believe he went back and forth to ensure that we had the lowest price, John.
These are extensions of the the contracts that were in place. That work initially was done many years ago. So at this point in time, it was just an extension of what was there.
Okay. And there's never like a reevaluation or anything like that. Okay.
It was not.
My other question is really channeling Dan Gosa. Why do we have change orders for the bus lot?
So the first one has to do, both of them have to do with municipalities, and we've requested to have a sit-down meeting with those two, Mid-American and Iowa American Water. We're gonna request to meet with them. The first one has to do with the transformer that we can no longer get. At the time of when we went out to bid, the transformer was there, and now it's not, and we have to come up with a different solution to reach there, and it's a little bit more expensive. The second one, engineer going through the phases, the water line going in was approved on other projects, so assuming was going approved. This project, the water line had to be separate going into it, and it was after the fact that we found that out. And those changes are required by those two entities, and that's why they're here.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next up, committee reports. Breaking barriers. Director Hayes.
None at this time.
Legislative advocacy. Director Poston.
If you would all take note of what IASB has been sending out as far as advocacy for our students in Des Moines. There's a number of things that are coming up. Be sure to contact your legislator. The SSA has been passed out of the House at 2.25. The Senate's at 2.0. So there'll be some negotiations back and forth there. And there also is a bill out there bringing our adding $10 to our to get us on an equal playing field with other districts. And there's a number of others too, but be sure you look at what the IASB is putting out there as far as the legislative issues.
Thank you. Elziak.
We will actually be meeting on February 20th.
Long-range facility plan, Director Potts.
We're meeting this Friday, and of course, we just had the presentation on North High School.
Policy, we met, and you will see those policies coming up tonight for a vote. Recognition, we're going to be meeting in a week or two to have our second meeting on this. Finance, Director Poston.
Nothing at this time.
Okay. Next up, 10.01 playground replacement at Jackson, Garfield, and McKinley. May I have a motion?
Madam President,
Director Hayes.
I move the board approve the playground replacement at Jackson, Garfield, and McKinley in the amount of $681,723 to be purchased through Cunningham Recreation.
Second.
Second.
I already said second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? Director Beck.
Thank you. And this is happening this summer, correct? So by the time the kids come back in the fall, they're all going to have new playgrounds.
We will do our best to have it done over summer. Yes.
Okay.
There could be a little bit of dirt work. Like, you know, if you tear up the grass, it doesn't grow back immediately. And summertime isn't the best growing season. So you
That's
might have a little bit of that to deal with.
That's fine.
Yep.
Okay.
Any other questions? Student board members, questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Policy for board approvals. Director Barnes, would you please make the motion since we're at the meeting?
Yes, the policy committee recommends the board approve the following policies: 102, 401.01, 401.06, 501.01, 501.02, 501.04, 501.05, 501.06, 501.07, 501.8, 501.11, 501.12, 501.16, 501.17, 501.18, 501.20, 501.21, 501.23, and 501.24.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any comments? I love hearing you have to read that. Anybody have a comment or question about it? Director Poston.
On 501.08 on student attendance records, this is just referring to records only. It's not anything to do with our attendance policy. So,
Correct. just
correct.
records. Most of these policies are just up for review. There are very few changes. As you went through, you could see that. Director Beck.
I would just like to comment on the fact that the policy committee is now reviewing policies. The numbering system's been taken care of. It's in line with IASB, and that is something that should be celebrated. Brenda, thank you so much, and Karen for all the work that you guys have put into this. So
I think there were, 3 or 4, Brenda, that were new, but the rest are just on the review cycle.
yeah.
So that's good. Any other questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next up, Superintendent Schneckloff, academic calendar.
John?
The calendar being proposed, and that's in front of you tonight, has a change from calendars in the past. What we found over the past 2 years, when we've had whole day PDs at the expense of the Wednesday early outs, was that our buildings have lost some of that time just to meet as touch points between those longer stretches with their staffs. So the calendar reflects that, and the change is that one day was taken off in June. So the June 2nd day that was scheduled was pulled apart into 7 1-hour extended days on Wednesdays. And those extended days are kind of strategically placed between the bigger full day PD sessions. The thought being that our building principals and our building teachers, who are the ones that have voiced this concern, would be able to use that time productively at the building level for professional development. So that was the major change that is being proposed.
Director Beck.
Was that done in, I appreciate not adding back in that 1 hour early out as a parent who I'm sure I never ever forgot that it was a Wednesday. Anyway, so this has been discussed with teachers as well as sort of I understand wanting that in between touch time, like making an extended day for the staff. That's like a mutually agreed sort of compromise here.
Yeah, we followed the regular process that we do. We took this to labor management and had discussions with the DEA.
Okay.
Anybody else? John, does this in any way affect like the paras? Like, would they have had to be there that full day? Do they put in that time as the hourly, or how is that?
There are certain amounts of time that our paras do have contractually. It has not been decided whether they would be a part of all of these or where their schedules would fit. This would be an opportunity, though, for them to be involved as well.
So they wouldn't lose that day if it was
No,
a paid
contractually,
day for
there's
them.
been no change in terms of their hours. Correct.
Okay, thank you. Director Beck.
Sorry, I have one other question. So I know right now we don't really have any flexibility in how early we can start, but I know one of the things I've heard, particularly from students, is that the second quarter final exams coming after a long break and such a short period of time back. And I know as a teacher, we used to have that at Augustana when I taught there. It's like really tough to get kids prepared for those kinds of things. Is that something that is discussed at all in terms of how to mitigate some of that break time?
We have not had that discussion for a couple years, and the issue with that is that would create two very, very short quarters at the beginning of the year and two longer quarters. Just in terms of the equity of instructional time, that's been the issue.
Thank you.
Director Barnes.
I'll make the same observation that I made last year. I'd love to see the culmination of the district's work noted on the calendar, and that is graduation. I just think that there's not only some symbolic importance there, but that is what we're working towards as a district.
Thank you for the gentle reminder.
Go on.
Is there so you want to put it on Wednesdays again, right? So like, is there a reason why you want to do Wednesdays, or are you just doing that because it's been that way in the past?
A couple different reasons. One is it has been done that way. I'll be honest with you. The second is on Wednesdays typically are a little thinner in terms of extracurricular activities, so there's not as much of a conflict for coaches, sponsors, directors, etc.
And also, how would this, is this going to be weird with the new schedule? Like, how is that going to, is that not going to?
I think there maybe is a level of weirdness because it's new. I'm not sure that the new schedule necessarily will impact it, other than, teachers are going to have a different kind of course load to deal with. But when you look at our elementary and our middle schools, their schedules are not changing, so it would not be that out of the ordinary there.
Anybody else? The expectation is, though, that coaches are going to be at this 1 hour time. They don't get a pass to go.
Coaches, sponsors, program directors, correct. This is contractual.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, this will come up, I think, the next meeting for a vote. Superintendent's report.
None at this time.
Administrative reports.
None at this time.
Are there any board requests? Seeing none, we will move on to reflection. And we'll start with student board members. Gesundheit.
I think everything at North that's gonna be up and coming is really cool. I've never been inside of North, so I don't know what it looks like, but it looks really cool. I think that's all.
I will second the North comment because it's just cool to see all kinds of renovations, all kinds of new things being put in, and to see that there's actually effort being put in to help kids, not just sitting around doing nothing. That, and I guess that's really the biggest thing we talked about. So yeah, I'm just gonna second Nevaeh.
Obviously, I asked a lot of questions on that, so I definitely do agree that it is very needed. And also, hey, we're bringing back the OG one day, early outs on Wednesday, maybe. So that's nice to have.
Just for the record, those are extensions, so the students will get out at a normal time. The teachers stay a little longer. We took a day off the end, like the contract, put it just kind of spread it out.
Oh, I totally was not following that. Okay, I got it now.
It's all teacher time. Okay. Director Hayes.
It went out of sequence, but that's okay. I was excited about the North project. This whole district is just having a new facelift, and I'm just excited about all the construction, but to get this North and the playgrounds and all that's exciting to me.
And I would like to welcome Director Ward to his first regular board meeting, and I'll have you do your reflection.
Thank you. Same echoing the face changes of Davenport North and the interior, and seeing that work come to fruition, I think is really exciting. Same thing with the playgrounds and seeing the long-term facility planning and those things in action. Still learning quite a bit, and so appreciate the legwork that goes into those policies and changes and refreshing those, as well as the administrative calendar. So yeah, just excited to see everything for the first time for me. So.
Thank you. Director Beck.
I am super excited about the playground replacements, particularly McKinley. But the whole North facelift is just, along with our other changes to Sudlow and Smart, is just really a breath of fresh air. And it's nice to see that this building is going to be brought into essentially the 21st century, particularly the science labs. And being a person who is in brand new science digs compared to old ones, it is so nice. And I also wanted to give a shout out just for our student board members for being willing to voice opinions and share with us and telling us about what's going on at your schools. So thank you.
Director Poston.
Well, like everyone else, the North project is very exciting, but when we think back about where this all started and the time that not only staff, parents, the community that put into this, and now we've seen a couple projects completed. It's just going to be huge for this school district. But the time that's been put into it, I don't think maybe some people realize what has all been involved here. So I'm excited about all the input and about what we're going to have as a school district down the road.
Director Potts.
I would ditto what Director Poston just said. And keep in mind, too, not only have we invested or are investing in the bricks and mortar, but in the previous couple of years, we invested significantly in curriculum and modernized and upgraded tens of millions of dollars worth of curriculum. And, you can't have one without the other. So I think we're running on two complementary parallel tracks that are heading us towards the goals that we've established long-term for the district.
Director Barnes.
North is extremely exciting and is just another example of how this school board is investing in our community and in our students. This is actually, in my view, the strongest form of partnership that this school district could provide to our community. So it's very exciting, and I think it's a great reminder for us of how much we care for Davenport, its citizens, and its students. Second thing that I would mention, and I want to credit our student board members for the reminder that last week was National School Counseling Week. And we don't oftentimes spend a lot of time thanking and acknowledging our school counselors in all of the schools across the district. But because of that reminder, it's a nice opportunity for us to thank them for all of the great work that they do in serving our students.
Superintendent.
Well, what we saw tonight for North is an absolute game changer. When you drive down 53rd, that will absolutely draw your eye to the right. And it can't happen fast enough, in my opinion. The students on the north side deserve that. I don't know, is it a 40 or 50 year promise to turn that place into an actual high school? And we're running, not walking into that direction, and I couldn't be more excited about it. The other thing I wanted to share was we were recently at a professional development where the gentleman there studies learning, and one of the biggest things that he says that any organization can do is reflect at the end of everything that you do. If you want to truly become a better organization, reflect. And it immediately made me think of our school board meetings and what we do at the very end. Wow, it tacks on another 10 to 15 minutes to what we do. It's one of the best things that you can do for your brain, according to learning and research. So I just wanted to pass that along, Madam President.
Thank you. I like the fact that we are looking at the entire district. We have made improvements to elementaries. We've done painting, new furniture, new signage, are getting 2 new middle schools. North High School, we've looked at our athletics. We're not just focusing on one grade level, or we are looking at the entire district. And I think that speaks a lot. Our curriculums went K through 12, probably preschool through 12. So we are committed to the entire district. So that's my reflection. And student board members, I would like to say thank you. You guys always have great input, great questions. Thank you. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned.